You have
All
plenty
right,
of
we're
time.
good.
You can make it.
Yep.
Well, I'm the chairman of the conference, so I gotta get,
Yeah.
I gotta get there a little early.
That's a minor
good idea.
So I'll
detail.
probably fly directly from Frankenmuth to Newark and have one of my sorority sisters bring me a suitcase of clothes.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's not the
And
first
you
time
can't-
that either. I've exchanged dirty clothes and clean clothes at the airport with my limo driver.
Mm.
All
Yep.
right, sisters, it is the 9
Okay.
o'clock hour. Thank
Okay.
you. I'm glad you got your travel plans figured out, kind of.
Working.
Speaking of travel, we have some bi-coastal sisters who are going to make us very envious this morning. So if you are on the Atlantic, could you show us your background, please?
Hope you can see it.
Look at Charlene.
Oh,
Isn't that
how
gorgeous?
pretty.
Going out.
Our Atlantic sister. And if you are on the Pacific, could you show us your background, please? And Jeannie's on the Pacific.
Wait a minute, I have to
All
get
right,
the
raise your
ocean.
hand if you're jealous.
Nice. All right, Jeannie. Whoa, go.
All right.
Very jealous. So sisters, thank you for being here, even though you are in a beautiful place and could probably be doing some other stuff besides.
Yeah, but this is
learning.
important and I'm understanding it's so much better. So
Oh, thank you, Charlene. So today is our last session together, and I am very proud of how far you've come. I bet at the beginning of this, you wouldn't have even realized just how much you'd understand and be able to do and manage. And all of you are doing that now. You're attending meetings and accessing the things to get prepped for those meetings a lot easier. That doesn't mean you're not going to run into trouble and you're going to go, what's going on? Because I still do that. I still like, what am I doing? And it's something I've done a million zillion times, like you do with passwords. You're like, this is the same password I use for everything. What's going on? There'll just be those moments when you say, oh, technology, it just gets the best of you. Remember, if you get stuck, you can always go to the Google search window and just ask Google, how do I do something? Or what does this mean? And there is someone out there who's already answered that question for you, and you just have to read it and try to figure it out that way. You also have created a cohort of sisters now through your breakout rooms and through this bigger group that you can always throw out a question to and say, I'm really stuck. Phyllis taught me this and Phyllis taught me that. And lastly, you can always come to me. I'm always there for a quick answer. Marianne has sent me 3 or 4 more questions. She's going to stay after today and we're going to go through them if she's got time. You can always do that, but know that I'm probably the slowest answer just because life happens and you're relying on another human. But Google, searching Google is your fastest answer. So I would always recommend that you just put it in that search window. You'll be amazed at anything that you're trying to do with technology, whether it's a certain app or a certain form or trying to do a procedure, it's out there. I mean, we use it all the time for everything. Who's this person? And I just want to see a picture. Oh yeah, I know who that is now. We have some home repairs. How do you do that? Next thing you know, I search it and I'm like, let's go to YouTube. I search a video and magically we try to figure out how to do something. So it's amazing what technology has offered the self-help, self-driven kind of person now. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Let's review our norms again for one last time. I won't read them. Maybe you'll just look them over. We're going to follow the same thing as we've been doing. I have started recording, Charlene, so I'm good today. I remembered today. So our agenda today is we're going to take a look at forms one more time because we talked about how to build forms, but we didn't talk about what forms offers you in the end. So we're going to see the backside now of forms. We're going to do a quick look at slides and creating them and importing them from a different platform. We'll do a really brief talk about sheets because many of us don't use Excel. So I'm not going to go into big depth on how to do sheets, which is the comparable Excel. We'll do a quick little thing. How can you make your profile personal and add your picture? Because I know that Molly and both Judy wanted you to have your picture on there because lots of you have the same initials. And if you're in a shared document at the same time, you won't know who MG is or ML if y'all have the same initials. But if you put your picture, then you know who it is. And then there's a special request on ADK Connect that we will discuss and answer any questions at the end. Any questions over today's agenda? All right, so let's go back to forms, and I wanted to share with you the back side of forms. And what that did for you. Actually, let me stop sharing and ask first, did anybody build a form since our last meeting just by chance because you thought you needed something and you wanted to do it? So Jeannie, I'm going to have you unmute and share what you built and how did it go?
I built a questionnaire where everybody was able to vote for the new officers in Alpha Tau, the new chapter in Colorado, because the members had to elect their officers before they could do their chartering. So I built a form for the election of officers.
Forms are great for electronic voting. Ballots are very quick and easy to do that. I've even been in meetings and people are like, we probably should do a written secret ballot on this, and you just whip it out and share it, and people could even do it in a meeting because it's usually pretty quick to build a ballot. When you do that, you don't have to get fancy like you do on some of the other stuff by adding graphics like I showed you last time, but it's a quick way to do an election or a ballot on a vote, a secret vote. That way you don't have to pass out paper and blah, blah, blah. All right. And then Anne, you raised your hand. Do you want to unmute and tell us how you, what you did and how did it go?
Well, I just did it this morning, and I was copying a form that Roberta had sent to me, and it's for asking presenters to, for the conference to give the title of their presentation and a description, and then what AV equipment they may need. And that's as far as I got.
Started by making a copy of something that was already developed that had been shared with you. We learned that last time too. And now she's going to edit it, which she's allowed to do because it's her copy now. She owns the copy she made.
Right.
She can change the graphics, the order of the questions. She can add more questions. She can take out questions she doesn't need. She can change the dates. Everything now belongs to her and she can do that. We did that for Ed Symposium from the original call clear to things at the very last minute of how will you present, recorded, blah, blah, blah. We used Google Forms that entire time because it's quick and easy and you can get it out. And remember, the difference between Google Forms and other platforms is it's free, you know, because SurveyMonkey is not that complicated, but it's not always free depending how many you send it out. So Google Forms is just in your Google platform. So I'm glad you ladies got some use out of it. I had to use it in this last week too, because I had shared with some of you that last year during the time of COVID, my ADA chapter here in Colorado Springs was really concerned about keeping connected, that we didn't want sisters to not attend Zoom and no one's heard from them and are they safe and okay, and we missed them. So we did something called Secret Sisters. And it was it was the whole Secret Santa idea where once a month we did something, and it was really fun because mine, when it got dropped off here, was a mysterious anonymous call that said, check your garage, because someone had their garage there and I had to go out and find my little goodie. It was such a popular thing that my sister said, let's do it again next year. And then I was in a meeting, probably a membership meeting, if I recall. in which they talked about connected sisters, which is a little bit different in that you know who you're connected with. And so that's what my chapter decided to do this time. Instead of just doing secret sisters, we would do connected sisters, so that primarily our sisters that we don't see much of, especially our practicing educators, have support from those of us who have some extra time to devote to them. So I created a copy of the secret sister form. So I made a copy and I changed it for connected sisters. So several of my sisters have answered that now, and I'm sure they don't have a problem sharing their answers because this is for public dissemination. This is a survey that we sent out in which it gives more information to their connected sister on some personal information that they can share. So right here, once I built it, remember the first thing it looked like was this, where I built it with graphics in the questions. Once I shared it up here, I sent it out, and I always like to do it in an email that explains it, which is what I did. So I copied the link from this form. I like to shorten it because it's always so big. I shortened the URL and I put it in an email that explained about connected sisters, blah, 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 and who their connected sister would be for the year. And I said, to give your connected sister more information, please fill out this form that I can use now to forward to them so that they have the information. So up here, you see 5 of my sisters have answered this so far. And so I click on responses, and the first thing that it defaults to is the summary. So this shows all 5 of my sisters who's answered. They gave me their email and their addresses, phone numbers. Then it starts giving some graphs. What's the best way to connect to you? Look at 100% of my sisters said text. And that's something new for my chapter. If you've not tried that in your chapter, my sisters are really good. That has morphed under my presidency. That I'm going into my 4th year because I just had to. And they've really changed so that they realize, I'm like, do you have cell phones? Do you text? That has really changed because of grandkids. Grandkids want to text them, and so they are better at texting. And so now I know, and they know me, the easiest, quickest way to get a hold of me is send me a text and say, hey, Phyllis, read an email, or hey, Phyllis, are you still coming? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I thought this was really interesting, that my impression of how they've changed really shows. That's really how they like to connect too. They like texting. Then I asked them, what's the best time to meet face-to-face with your connected sister? So this gives a nice graph. This means nothing altogether, okay? To me, this means nothing. To that individual sister that they're connected with, it will mean everything. I will show you that in just a minute. Spouses, birthdays, favorite food indulgence, favorite snack, favorite dessert, favorite beverage, favorite reading genre, all of this that's blending together doesn't mean much. In other surveys, it means everything. When should Ada have their meetings? Then I know when they can have, because those kinds of graphs are going to help me. But on this one, this particular one's not going to mean much to me. So for this one, it's better for me to break it out a different way. One way I could break it out is by question. This one says on question number 1, how did everybody answer? There's their name. What's your name? But I could quick go to a different question, which is, what's the best way to connect with you? And they're going to show me all 5 people answered by texting. So that's another way to break out data from a form, is by looking just specifically at a question. But particularly for this survey, what I needed is individual answers, because here's what I can do. I can take this and I can slide it down. I'm holding my cursor down, Diane Best, and I'm sliding down so that I can copy this. So I'm going to right click and copy, or I can do Control-C for copy. And then I can launch I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to go into my Word. If I want to put this in Word, or I could have launched Google Doc. You guys like Word like me. And I can do this. And now I can paste all of their answers individually for Diane and give this to Diane's connected sister. So I'm going to save this under Diane's name. Then I'm going to write an email to Diane's connected sister and say, here's Diane's information for you. And they will have it and print it out on their own. Questions about information from forms. Okay, one more thing. If you're doing things like we had big answers, tons of answers from things for the Ed Symposium. Up here, you have this little green button, and that's the icon for a spreadsheet, for an Excel spreadsheet. So many times from Christy or Annie, or maybe even Molly, they may give you data from something they've collected, and they may do it in a spreadsheet that came originally from a form, and then they break it out. So now I'm going to break out this information that will give me all of the answers on a spreadsheet. Create a new spreadsheet, or I could blend it. I'm going to just create a new one. And when I do that, can you all still see that? Okay, so for Ed Symposium, what we did is we broke it out on a spreadsheet, and then we went through. I didn't need to know the time. The time of when they completed that did not matter, but I needed to know their name and their email. And so what I would do is start clicking in the columns I wanted. Let's just say I want these 3 columns, and I would copy it. And then what I could do is put it onto a Google Doc, which is what we did, and it's automatically into a chart form on a Google Doc that we used and we all shared to interact with our different pathways, to email our sisters, to ask more questions, and then we created more columns that we needed on that Google Doc for the same information we gathered here. Because we didn't need all the information that was submitted on that application, we just needed some key components. All right, any more questions on forms? Are you seeing some uses for yourself now on how you can gather stuff pretty quick? So if you were using this for registration for various events that you do, either chapter or regional, this would be a great way to have that information right then. What dinner do they want? You know, what was their dinner plate? When are they arriving? All those things you can break out and copy and paste what you actually need for different things to give to different committees or to have with the people who are running that event. So it's really easy to run a Google form and then convert it into other platforms that will be useful to you. Okay, moving on then, let's go ahead and do some work with Google Slides. Is there anyone who has worked with Google Slides yet? Nancy Harrison says a little bit. And Laura, thank you, Laura. A lot, Laura, or just a little bit? A little bit, got it. All right, so remember, Betty Jo says a little bit, okay, itty bitty little bit. It's a good thing I'm, a teacher because I can read lips and hear things, see things behind my back, all that sort of stuff. Here's my personal take. I'm not a big fan of sheets. It's okay, it works, but I would much rather do it in PowerPoint. I know the buttons quicker because I guess my thing on sheets is I don't do enough presentations, and I do a lot, but I don't do tons to go ahead and use sheets and learned them probably as much as I have with PowerPoint. I grew up with PowerPoint, blah, blah, blah. So, and now that I can import PowerPoint into Google Sheets and generally do it without many struggles, that's what I tend to do. I tend to build first in PowerPoint, and if I need others to share it, then I just import it into Google Drive, which change it and converts it into a Google Sheets. And then you just check the graphics, which we're going to do here in a minute, make sure everything, the animation's working, the graphics are working, and that's what I do if it has to be a shared. I keep saying sheets, you're right, slides. Thank you, Nancy. I mean slides, sorry. And so I tend to do it that way. And I always, when I'm going to have a group presentation, which we do in our organization a lot, there's usually at least one other person I'm presenting with. Seldom do I just present on myself. I will always build first in PowerPoint, import it into slides so that both of us have the latest version. Because remember, it's always saving to the cloud. So whatever, if I was doing a presentation with Jeannie, it would always be the latest, greatest version. Now, Jeannie and I have done presentations in the past and we've just stuck to PowerPoint and we're like version 1, version 2, or put a date on it. And you can do it that way and it's fine. But if you can go ahead and convert it, you always have the latest and you're not looking in your email. Did I save that? What's the last one? Oh no, the title's getting, the saved title is getting so long. I can't tell which one's the latest one. I have to open up 3 to figure out which one's that. So slides makes it a little bit easier when you have a shared presentation. Okay. Now I say that knowing that many of us will still stick to PowerPoint. And that's perfectly fine. So today's purpose is just to introduce you to slides should you want to use them. All right, go into slides. All right, in slides can be found in your waffle, and you're going to go down and find slides. It's a yellow icon. It says slides. If you don't have it, remember you're going to search for it here and just put Google Slides. The more you use it, the more you'll have it. Just like with PowerPoint, it's going to give you lots of different templates. So if you hit that down arrow, there's all sorts of fun things that you can have pre-built. And if it's pre-built, all you do is replace your words and your graphics should you want them in it, for example. So let's go to a photo album presentation. And this is a template that's already built. And I could keep their pictures and their graphics, or I could take them out and replace by doing just like what we learned when we did Google Docs and import an image from my computer or search for a new one from the web or look from my vacation pictures in Google Photos and import it there. Click over here and change the words to what I want to say. It's already built in alignment. I would say 75% of the time I start totally clean. I do a blank presentation. But every once in a while, I'll use a template because I'm tired of the old way I do things. And I'm like, oh, let's just try a template this time. So templates are fun to play with if you've never played with them. They're fun to play with. All right, I'm going to close this out. And let's this time start with a blank template. So plus sign, just like on all the other platforms, start something new or add something. And then let's take a look at some of the buttons. When you start a new presentation, it automatically defaults to themes. What is the layout and the coloring that I'm looking for? Oh, this one looks nice. Let's pick that one. But I want to do this for 80K, so I don't really want these colors. I'd rather have 80K colors. So to change the colors on this, I'm going to go to background, find my purple. There's some purple here. Let's see what that looks like. Or I could put an image in my background if I'd rather, but it's got those lines, so I don't think an image is going to work. And there's my purple if I wanted to do that. Okay. Let's say I didn't like that. Let's go back up here, and I don't want that color. Let's say I want an image in my background instead. So let's change it and do, oh, let's pick Molly's logo. Where is it? You guys are in the way again. There it is. And then I could put her motto as the background for each slide. Okay. Import the theme. There you go. Oh, import a theme would mean if I'm looking for something somewhere else that I've used before. Okay, I'm going to take that out. All right, layout is just what it is in PowerPoint. How do you want those slides to look? Generally speaking, you remember you can change slide to slide. Here's your theme button again, and here's your transitions. If you wanted to add those different kinds of transitions, here's your speed, apply to all slides. Here's what it would look like. There you go. Just like it looks in PowerPoint. Then if you want to get fancy, you would add different things from different menus. Borders, bullets, duplicating slides, move a slide, different tools. Add-ons means to add on different apps, applications. That would be Google 201 if you wanted to learn how to do that. Help. All right. Remember, just like everything, the first thing you want to do is put your title of whatever you're calling it. Because the minute it gets saved, it's going to save as untitled presentation. You might have a lot of those if you've been playing around. So I'm going to throw this in the trash. It's not going to move to the trash because I haven't done anything. There you go. All right, questions on how to create slides. Unmute, Diane.
I don't know about creating necessarily, but if I don't know how to do PowerPoints at all. So would this be better for me to just start with this and learn how to do these Google slides then?
I would, just because you had a little class today.
Yeah, because I've never done PowerPoints. I don't know how to do PowerPoints. So this would probably be a better go-to and a beginning spot for me then, correct?
And then if you get stuck or you want to watch more information, what would be your first line of support for you, Diane, if you wanted to do PowerPoint or Google Slides?
Probably go to one of my buddies.
Before your buddy, what did I say to do first?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay, what is she going to do first? Who can unmute and tell her?
Google
Google
it.
search.
Google search.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Go to
all right.
you
You're
on
gonna put in a
YouTube,
Google,
Phyllis.
you're going to put in a Google. How do you make a PowerPoint, or how do I make Google Slides?
Oh,
And magically, when you put that in, you'll have written directions, and you'll also have a bunch of people who are really smart who've made YouTubes, and you just watch them and you can tell how long they are and how complicated they are, because it'll say, this is an easy way just to get started. That's the one you want. You don't want to say how to do blah, 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 and all these little tech things inside. You don't want those. So don't get stressed at that. So I would do that first, Diane. Always Google search. There are tons and tons of support things out there. If you just search for them, I would do that. And then try to find a buddy that would help you. If you're still stuck and you've Googled and you're just not understanding, then go to a buddy.
Because I've tried to help stuff before and it's all techie talk to me. I don't understand a clue what they're talking about.
So
So,
watch a video.
yeah, okay.
Watch a video, because that's just what we're doing now, is creating a video for your help. And it'll say YouTube, and go to that YouTube and just watch it. Okay,
Okay.
all right. So let's try importing now and see how that looks, okay? All right, so to import a presentation that was created in, see, there's that one I just created. I don't want that one. Remove it. Move to the trash. I don't want that one either. Move to the trash. See how I got rid of those things I was playing with? I don't want them. All right. I'm going to go to the folder, just like I did a Google Doc, that I want to put it in. So I want it in my Google Training. So I went to my Drive. I can find that in the waffle, remember? Then I go to Google Training. I open that folder. And then I'm going to add something in this folder. And remember, when I'm going to add something or start something new, I always go to the plus sign. So go to the plus sign. So it says, well, what do you want to put in here, Phyllis Robinette? Do I want a file? Do I want a folder? Do I want all these things? No, it's not a slide yet. It's a PowerPoint. It's not on the list. Oh yeah, it would be a file, because remember, file means document, presentation, Excel spreadsheet. It means anything individually that you created. A folder, remember, is a folder with multiple things in it. And I'm not uploading a folder, I'm just uploading a file. So now I'm going to go to my hard drive. This is the stuff I have on my computer. And let's go to, let's see if I can find it in membership. Let's see if I can do it. Now let's go to trainings. Jeannie and I did a presentation before. Let's tick one of them. So I can look at these icons and I know that they're PowerPoints. Here's the 4 R's of membership, a Colorado presentation. Or I can do this one, membership training. Let's try this one, the 4 R's of membership. So it was created in P for PowerPoint. I'm now going to put it in my Google Drive, in my Google folder, because that's what I'm wanting to put it in, is in that folder. And I'm going to say open now. Once I hit open, it's magically going to convert the PowerPoint into Google Slides. All right. Once it says one upload complete, now I should go find it, and I look right here, just like it did with Word documents. It's telling me this was originally a PowerPoint. And just like I told you in Word documents, you have to go through and kind of check them out, especially the alignments, the fonts, and the graphics, because those are what can go wrong. So let's open this up. And see how it transferred over. So I just go through and I'm clicking slide by side. Does it look okay? Is every graphic in there? Does the font look okay? Is the alignment still good? If it's not okay, then you have to fix it within slides. You have to fix the font, reload the picture, realign things. Sometimes it'll go wonky, but like I shared with Word, it's so much better than it used to be. When you did this just a few years ago, everything was just wonky, and it was just easier not to do it than to fix everything that went wrong. It would just be easier to create it in Google Slides. But now they talk to one another so better. So I see everything okay. Now with that, I don't think this one had any animation, but animation does transfer unless Charlene has discovered you're in Apple products. So Judy, if you will unmute and go on camera if you can. And can you share, have you moved things from PowerPoint over to Google Slides without any troubles?
It comes across clean. It really does. And you have the choice of opening it as a PowerPoint or as a Google slide. It doesn't matter. It comes across very clean. I will say, if I'm going to be working in Google Slides, I would just assume create in Google Slides so that I know that everybody is seeing everything fine. But if I'm using a already made PowerPoint, no problem. When we did the Zoom this summer, that was a PowerPoint that I had created outside of Google and brought it into Google.
Okay, so Charlene, if your animation went wonky on the one that you had tried, you might play with it, and now you have Judy as a resource if you get really stuck. Okay,
Our problem was when we were doing the PowerPoints for the Leadership Academy, we would all work in PowerPoint, but then so we could give the PowerPoints to our participants, we would then put it in the shared drive, in our shared Google Drive. And that's when things, as you say, went wonky, but I will contact Judy if we have any further problems, and I'm sure she can put us on the straight and narrow. Thank you.
and so Judy also talked about, let me show you.
If things go wonky when they do transfer, and again, I wasn't using a lot of animation, and I did use transition, and that went over pretty cleanly. But if they do, you can adjust, or I think, Phyllis, it's been a long time since I did this, but I think you can save it and open it in Google Slides and move it over. I'm not sure.
All right, so that's what I'm showing you now. So remember how we can go both ways. So we can work on this together. And if something's not going right, or I want to save it onto my hard drive again, I'm going to go to File, Download as a PowerPoint. And if I click that, it's going to take it back to PowerPoint. And remember, when it does that, it launches at the bottom of mine. And I'll stop sharing. And let me share again. And there it is in PowerPoint.
Right, we didn't
Okay.
see, we didn't see that.
Uh-oh, let me try again.
There.
Are you there? Now can see it? Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see.
So now I'm in PowerPoint from Slides. I went back to put it in there. So Charlene, that might be another answer for you.
Phyllis, I have a question. Did your graphic on that page go a little wonky, or is that how it looked before?
That's how it
I
looks
really like that
before.
word wonky, by the way.
Do you? It's yours.
Thank you. But no, did the
it-
graphic break up, or is
No,
that how it looked?
That's how it is. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
All right, questions on Slides. All right, Mary Ann, unmute.
Okay, as we work with doing, okay, we know that some sisters are very knowledgeable about Google Docs, and there's other sisters that are not knowledgeable at all about Google Docs. And so I realize if your committee is working on it and sharing within Google Docs, but then you want to do the present, you want to expand it and give it to and share now with other sisters that are not, then we would be where we'd have to take Google Slides and then copy it into PowerPoint.
Just download as a PowerPoint, and then you're going to do the opposite. You're going to check the PowerPoint, make sure everything you built in Slides is aligned, the graphics look good, the font looks good, all that. If you didn't originally start with PowerPoint, but you started with slides, you just do it the opposite way and make sure that both platforms are talking to each other. So that's a way of doing both. And I know that many of you are sending documents in PDFs and Word still, because some of our sisters don't know about PDFs or can't get them to load. And so you send them in both. This is the same idea. You could send it in Google Doc or Google Slides via the email with the link, and also attach in that same email the version in PowerPoint. Say I have it in both versions, whichever works for you. Nancy?
Is there a maximum number of slides that Google Slides will accept?
I know, I don't know. Someone asked that. Was that you
That was me.
before about pictures? So I don't think it's about the amount of slides. It's about how much memory it's taking. And if you're doing a photo album, that's a lot of memory
Right.
to transfer. And so we talked about last time, maybe you import them in sections to have it move a little easier for you.
But ultimately, it could be unlimited.
Yeah, I think I've done slides in 70, 80 range on full weekend trainings that I've done.
Well, the
with
one that
other
I was
groups.
talking about moving had over 100, so maybe that was my problem.
I think more than slides, Nancy, it had to do with the memory that the pictures were taking on
Right, and
those
that, I'm
slides.
sure that took a lot. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, it's practice time. Here's your choice. You get a choice this time. Diane's never created a PowerPoint. So Diane wants to start playing in Google Slides with what she's learned by just creating a title, giving it a name, maybe putting in some words, putting in a graphic. That's what her room can support her in doing. Some of you have some presentations that you've done in the past or that have been shared with you that you now want to place into your Google folder and move them over to the Google Slide platform, and you can try that. So you have two choices: start fresh or move one over. All right, if your room only has one, be patient. I'll move you into another. Any questions on what you're going to do for 10 minutes? All right, moving you now. All right.